Welcome to Business Igcse class with Dr. Adebayo. Today's topic in business is communication barriers. But before we go into communication barriers, what is communication itself? Communication is the encoding and decoding of information. That means we are passing information across. That is what communication is. So what are those reasons why communication or information might not be understood or misinterpreted? So these could be as a result of different hindrances that causes information not to be understood, and we call them communication barriers. So what's a communication barrier? A communication barrier is anything that prevents information from being understood correctly or reaching the intended receiver. So that is what communication barrier is. So what are the common communication barriers we're going to talk about? The first one I'm going to talk about is language. So for language, I'm simply talking about different language or difficult technical terms which can cause misunderstanding. So that is a problem, language barrier. We have different language because we are in a diversified world. So which simply means our languages differ. As a result of that, we need to find a solution. And what could be the solution when language is the barrier to communication? One, you can use simple language. Two, you can translate or explain. So which simply means if you figure out that your receiver is not getting the information clearly or is not understanding the information clearly, you can explain further for clarity. So that's the first communication barrier. The second one I'm going to talk about is poor listening. And when it comes to poor listening, this could be as a result of employees, mostly at workplace, or students also. It could be as a result of students or employees not paying attention or may misunderstand the instruction. So if there's poor listening due to lack of attention or lack of misunderstanding instruction, the solution is the person passing the information should encourage active listening and ask employees or students to confirm their understanding about the information. So poor listening is another reason why information is not understood. So the third one I'm going to talk about is information overload. For information overload, we're simply talking about too much information. And when there are too much information, it may be difficult for the receiver to identify what is important. So that is what information overload is. And what is the solution when it comes to information overload? The person passing the information, the encoder should try to keep messages clear, concise, and organized. As a result of that, it will become easier for a receiver to identify the important information. The fourth one I'm going to talk about is wrong communication method. And for wrong communication method, here, that means we're not using the suitable method to pass information. So using an unsuitable method may prevent effective communication. And when there's no effective communication because there's barrier to communication. Effective communication is when information is being passed across and the receiver receives the information and enforce the information. That is effective communication with feedback. But when I cannot even understand the information you are passing across, how will I be able to do what I am supposed to do before talking about getting the feedback? So that is about wrong communication. So solution is we should always choose the method according to the situation and the importance of the message. For example, in the classroom, I choose to use verbal communication method and also visual to highlight the importance and to ensure students have understanding about what the course concept is. Then the next one is noise and distraction. Noise is destructive. So that's why most of the time in the classroom I encourage students not to make noise, because when there is noise, it affects the passer of the information and the receiver. So with noise, because it is destructive, it affects both the encoder and decoder. Noise and distraction. So physical noise or workplace distraction can prevent messages from being heard. What is the solution? Communication in a quiet environment. So for effective communication, we need a decorum. We need an environment that is quiet. Without that, information will not be understood. And this, I'm passing this message also to students. Please always, try to observe decorum, because when there's decorum, it gives teachers the ability or educators the ability, to think further and be able to explain better. Then the next one I'm going to talk about is organizational structure. For organizational structure, we have long chain of command and we have a short chain of command. A long chain of command can cause information to become delayed or distorted. When you have a long chain of command, it means a narrow span of control. That means there are a lot of managers. There are a lot of managers within the organization, and that might make information, to be incomplete or distorted. Then, what is the solution? Reduce unnecessary level of hierarchy and improve direct communication. So, when there's direct communication, it simply means the person passing the information will talk to the receiver that needs the information, and that would make information to be faster, better, and it also improves decision making. The next one I'm going to talk about is poorly written messages. Unclear or badly structured messages can be misunderstood. So what is the solution? Write in a clear handwriting, simple and well-organized way. And the last one is cultural differences. When we talk about culture is a way of life. So when there's cultural differences, we're simply talking about different cultural backgrounds which may lead to different interpretation of words, gestures, or behavior. So what is the solution to this? Provide cultural awareness and use clear, respectful communication method. So these are barriers to communication, and if all these barriers are not eliminated, there won't be effective communication. I remain Dr. Adebayo. Bye and cheers.